From Cold War tensions to unexpected alliances, the relationship between America and Russia has been a roller coaster ride through history. And now, fast forward to recent times. How do America and Russia navigate their complex relationship in an era of cyber warfare, political intrigue, and global instability? In this video, we're going to journey through the decades as we unravel the intricate web of American-Russian relationship. Get ready to explore the twists and turns, the secrets and surprises in the captivating story of the relationship of America and Russia over the years. The Cold War, 1947 to 1991. The Cold War was a period of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union and their respective allies, the Western Bloc and the Eastern Bloc, which began following World War II. The two superpowers emerged from World War II as the two powerful nations in the world, with opposing ideologies and geopolitical goals. The Cold War was characterized by a number of proxy wars, nuclear arm races, and space races. Proxy wars were fought wars between two countries that were backed by the United States and the Soviet Union. Examples of proxy wars include the Korean War, 1950 to 1953, and the Vietnam War in 1954 to 1975. The nuclear arms race was a competition between the United States and the Soviet Union to build more and more powerful nuclear weapons. The space race was a competition between the United States and the Soviet Union to be the first to launch a human into space and land on the moon. The Cold War ended with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. The collapse of the Soviet Union was caused by a number of factors, including economic problems, political instability, and ethnic tensions. The Cold War had a profound impact on the world. It shaped global politics, economics, and culture for over 40 years. The Cold War also led to the development of new technologies such as nuclear weapons and space exploration. The Cold War was a complex and tumultuous period in world history. It was a time of great tension and fear, but it was also a time of innovation and progress. The Cold War shaped the world we live in today in many ways. Post-Cold War, 1991 to 2000. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the United States and Russia entered a period of detente, or relaxation of tensions. The two countries cooperated on a number of issues, including nuclear non-proliferation and counter-terrorism. In 1991, the United States and Russia signed the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, START 1, which limited the number of nuclear weapons that each country could possess. In 1993, the two countries signed the START 2 Treaty, which further reduced the number of nuclear weapons. The United States and Russia also cooperated on counter-terrorism. In 1998, the two countries signed the Non-Ligar Cooperative Threat Reduction Program, which provided funding to help Russia dismantle its nuclear weapons and prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons and materials. However, tensions began to rise in the late 1990s over NATO expansion and the Kosovo War. NATO is a military alliance between the United States and its European allies. In the 1990s, NATO began to expand eastward into former Soviet republics. Russia opposed NATO expansion, arguing that it was a threat to its security. In 1999, NATO intervened in the Kosovo War, bombing Serbia to force it to withdraw its forces from Kosovo. Russia supported Serbia in the Kosovo War, and the relationship between the United States and Russia deteriorated. Despite the tensions, the United States and Russia continued to cooperate on some issues during the post-Cold War period. For example, the two countries worked together to establish the International Space Station. The post-Cold War period was a time of both cooperation and tension between the United States and Russia. The two countries cooperated on some issues, such as nuclear proliferation and counter-terrorism. However, they also disagreed on other issues such as NATO expansion and the Kosovo War. These tensions would continue to shape the relationship between the United States and Russia in the years to come. War on Terror, 2001 up to present. The September 11 attacks brought the United States and Russia together in their fight against terrorism. The two countries cooperated on intelligence sharing and military operations in Afghanistan. In the aftermath of the September 11 attacks, the United States invaded Afghanistan in order to overthrow the Taliban regime, which had harbored Al-Qaeda, the terrorist group responsible for the attacks. Russia supported the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan, and the two countries cooperated on intelligence sharing and military operation. In 2002, the United States and Russia signed the Moscow Declaration, which outlined their shared commitment to combating terrorism. The two countries also established a joint counter-terrorism center in Moscow. However, tensions began to rise again in the mid-2000s over the U.S. invasion of Iraq and Russia's support for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. In 2003, the United States invaded Iraq without the support of the United Nations Security Council. Russia opposed the U.S. invasion of Iraq, arguing that it was illegal and unnecessary. Russia also supported Syrian President Bashar al-Assad in the Syrian civil war, which began in 2011. The United States and its allies supported the Syrian opposition in the civil war. Despite the tension, the United States and Russia continued to cooperate on some counter-terrorism issues. For example, the two countries worked together to disrupt plots to attack the United States and Russia. The war on terror has had a profound impact on the relationship between the United States and Russia. The two countries have cooperated on some counter-terrorism issues, but they have also disagreed on other issues such as the U.S. invasion of Iraq and the Syrian civil war. These tensions have complicated the relationship between the United States and Russia and made it difficult for the countries to cooperate on other issues. Ukrainian crisis, 2014 up to present. The Ukrainian crisis began in 2014 when Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine. The annexation was followed by a war in eastern Ukraine between Ukrainian forces and Russian-backed separatists. The crisis has its root in the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. Ukraine gained its independence from the Soviet Union, but Russia has continued to view Ukraine as part of its sphere of influence. In 2013, pro-European protests erupted in Ukraine after the Ukrainian government suspended preparations for an association agreement with the European Union. The protests led to the overthrow of the pro-Russian Ukrainian government in February 2014. Russia responded to the overthrow of the pro-Russian government by annexing the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine in March 2014. Russia also began to support the separatists in eastern Ukraine. In April 2014, pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine declared independence from Ukraine. The Ukrainian government launched a military operation to retake eastern Ukraine, but the separatists with Russian support have been able to hold on to some territory. The war in the eastern Ukraine has killed over 14,000 people and displaced over 2 million people. The Ukrainian crisis has had a profound impact on the relationship between the United States and Russia. The United States and its allies have condemned the Russian annexation of Crimea and imposed sanctions on Russia. Russia has responded by imposing sanctions on the United States and its allies. The Ukrainian crisis has also led to a sharp increase in military tensions between the United States and Russia. NATO has increased its military presence in Eastern Europe, and Russia has responded by increasing its military presence near the NATO border. The Ukrainian crisis is a major foreign policy challenge for the United States. The United States wants to deter Russia from further aggression against Ukraine and the former Soviet republics. However, the United States also wants to avoid a direct military confrontation with Russia. The future of Ukrainian crisis is uncertain. The war in the eastern Ukraine continues, and there is no sign of diplomatic resolution. The crisis has led to a sharp decline in relationship between the United States and Russia, and it is likely to continue to have a major impact on global politics for years to come. The Ukrainian crisis is a complex and dangerous situation. It is important to understand the history of crisis and the current situation in order to make informed decisions about how to respond to it. Future relations. The future of U.S.-Russia relations is uncertain. The two countries have a number of shared interests, such as nuclear non-proliferation and counter-terrorism. However, they also have a number of deep-seated disagreements, such as NATO expansion and the Syrian conflict. The relationship between the United States and Russia is one of the most important and consequential relationships in the world today. It is important for the two countries to find ways to manage their difference and cooperate on issues of mutual interest. Here are some possible scenarios for the future of the U.S.-Russia relations. Worst case scenario. The two countries continue to drift apart and tensions escalate over issues such as NATO expansion and the Syrian conflict. This could lead to a new Cold War or even a direct military confrontation. Middle case scenario. The two countries are able to manage their difference and cooperate on issues of mutual interest, such as the nuclear non-proliferation and the counter-terrorism. However, the relationship remains frosty, and the two countries are unable to resolve their deep-seated disagreements. Best case scenario. The two countries are able to overcome their difference and build a more cooperative relationship. This would require a significant shift in thinking of both sides, but it is possible. The future of U.S.-Russia relations will depend on a number of factors, including the leadership of both countries, the international security environment, and the domestic political situation in each country. It is important to note that the future is not predetermined. There are many different possible scenarios for U.S.-Russia relations. The choices the leaders of both countries make today will have a significant impact on the future of the relationship. The relationship between the United States and Russia is one of the most important and consequential relationships in the world today. It is important for the two countries to find ways to manage their difference and cooperate on issues of mutual interest. This will help to create a more peaceful and stable world. What do you think the future holds for U.S.-Russia relations? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, click the next one shown on the screen, and I'm sure you'll like it. Thanks for watching.